The Cloud Retainer was one of the characters that many players have always been wondered about how she was going to look like, because wow, she is a crane before she was released. Well, now we already know how her character looked. It's already been well over a year after her release. Well, time does fly, isn't it? How is Xianyun still doing? And we're going to be looking into some basically updated teams and some of the best teams that Xianyun has got access to in the current patch, because there has been a few things that has been updated, and yeah, there are a newly character Furina that can technically use Xianyun in her team as well. We're going to be discussing that in today's video. Furina and Ian-san is basically going to be on the first phase, which many of us are excited. So if you're planning to swipe for pooling, then don't forget to check out Loot Bar. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 23% on all of your top-ups, with over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point. And by the way, this also applies to PS5 and Xbox user who can place orders through Loot Bar. You can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. Here you can see my order receipts of all of my top-ups that I have done. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save your money, especially if you are topping up a large amount. Now basically, Xianyun is a character I'm pretty sure you guys already know. She's a plunge attack support character that enables more power towards your punch damage, as well as having access to healing capability. She also has very nice unique ability in terms of allowing basically all of your character to have access to plunge mechanics as well, which is one of the more unique skill set out there for a character, because we actually don't have too many characters that allows a other character to have newly accessibility inside the game, other than exploration ability, which yeah, we don't really cover too much when it comes to battles. But Xianyun is basically the only few character who allows you to do that. Now we're obviously going to be discussing in depth into the team comps a little bit, but when it comes to Xianyun, there are a few characters that really stand out when it comes to taking full benefit of Xianyun. For example, Furina, right? Xianyun has access to team-wide healing that counters Furina's HP drain, which enables for faster fanfare stacks, also allowing Furina's off-field damage to be on the higher end, because yeah, your party is always above the 50% HP point. And other than that, Furina damage buff also amplifies your plunge damage as well. So overall, these two characters synergizes with each other really well, and therefore you're going to be seeing Furina and Xianyun on the same team quite a lot. But there are a number of characters that makes use of Xianyun absolutely well, which makes Xianyun one of the best team version for these characters, and which is why we're going to be discussing them in this video. First off, it's definitely none other than our Xiao, with a team of Xianyun, Farzan, and Furina. Right, ever since Xianyun was released, she was technically made for Xiao. Any team that Xiao is on which doesn't have Xianyun is basically going to be a worse version of Xiao team. So if you're using Xiao, you're looking at a Xianyun basically. Other than that, we always had a Farzan, right? Farzan is still the best Anemo buffer in the whole entire game, especially if you do have her C6. Hopefully you do if you're using an Anemo DPS. But obviously Farzan can still work pre-C6, right? So technically, as long as you have Farzan on your account, that's totally going to be fine. And the last character is going to be Furina. We've already mentioned before, Furina and Xianyun just makes up for very good synergy, which is why they work really well in most of the team here, and you're going to see a lot of Furina on their specific team. Up next, we have Garmin. Garmin was released right side by side with Xianyun, and luckily he is kind of made for Xianyun as well into plunging gameplay. I think Garmin gameplay is very fun and unique as well. Honestly speaking, we don't really have a full plunging character kit at this point in time. We only have a Xiao, Garmin, and basically a Varesa at this point, so technically 3 characters. Other than that, Garmin, even though he is a 4-star character, and he basically is going to be the only 4-star character that is going to be mentioned here, that makes you full wow of a Xianyun first of all. But if you do have his constellation, Garmin is going to be doing some disgusting damage that can rival with some of the 5-star out there. This is very insane, which just goes to show that yeah, if you really want a good team, sometimes the 4-star character can already deliver it to you. Now, the team that we're discussing with Garmin here is more of a premium team. Technically speaking, before 4. Many of the time we have a Furina, Bennett, and a Xianyun team for a Garmin, which is going to be a very press for Garmin team. However, Sitlali has been released recently, and technically speaking, Sitlali does pretty amazingly with Garmin as well on his team to enable him melt damage, right? Because Sitlali is a character that helps melt teams really well. So this is rather an expensive team because we do have a Sitlali who is a recently released character, but it does allow you to have a really nice melt comp. Other than that, we have another character that's very similar, which is going to be D-Look. Used on the same melt team, D-Look does pretty nice with the plunging numbers, especially again with Sitlali here. D-Look melt comp has been buffed quite nicely, which is for those of you who are enthusiasts about D-Look out there, yeah, he's still pretty much a character that have access to really nice team. Other than that, a pyro character that makes use of Xianyun really well is Hu Tao. On a team of Furina, Yelan, and Xianyun, Hu Tao Plunge Xianyun is basically one of, if not the best team for Hu Tao at the current point. I've been testing out so many Hu Tao teams over the years. This is one of the comfiest team and the one that, yeah, she actually deals so much number, because if you didn't know, the Hu Tao plunge number is actually higher than her charge attack. So usually core gameplay of Hu Tao is her charge attack, but at this point she can actually do a plunge into her charge attack and into a plunge again, which is really absolutely nice Hu Tao, and I'm really loving it ever since Xianyun was released. And I've always been using this Hu Tao team other than any other one of her teams because it's just very much comfortable. Another character that's very in similar situation is actually Alekino. Many of the time I just use Alekino in the Xianyun plunge team because it's just works pretty well. Obviously it's not going to be her best team. It does work out well with, you can use her on the Yelan, Bennett, and the Xianyun team. That allows her to have really nice attacking damage number, and you know, you can do a good nice number of plunge attack and then weaving her normal attack so that you don't actually use her normal attack Ball of Life too fast, while also being able to deal more plunge damage overall. So it's a very nice team for Alekino, so if you haven't already do so, you can try that. Other than that, there's also a cryo plunge team, right? You can try out, like for example, Ayaka, Xianyun, Shenhe, and Furina. Technically it's going to be a bit of a free team, but overall, considering that this team has both Xianyun and Furina that buff you pretty decent number and also allows Ayaka to do plunge, that's a nice team combination for you to use for Ayaka. And obviously we have Shenhe here. Again, it is going to be a quite premium team if you're using this specific team, but overall at the end of the day it still allows you to do nice number for Ayaka. Now cryo has been, again, we still have to wait until basically patch 5.5 for Escophere to come so that we have more buffing toward freeze. But at this point in time, I think overall it's a kind of a fun team we used to use on cryo. Other than that, you can actually use Wrathly on here as well, and he will be able to do decently well as well. But other than that, a character that uses Xianyun really well is going to be Navia, right? Navia Xianyun Plunge has always been one of the teams that I opt for my specific Navia build. I run her alongside with Yelan and Furina. Now, technically speaking, Yelan and Furina is a Hydro Resonant, so it doesn't really benefit Navia too much. However, it does allow both Yelan and Furina deals more numbers, so actually the overall team damage is still really nice. Very comfy team for Navia as well, because after her E skill, she does have access to Yield Infusion and do really nice plunging ability numbers as well, which is actually really nice. Some other Catalyst character can make use of Xianyun pretty decently as well, and one of those characters is usually Yai Miko. You can run alongside with Furina, Xianyun, and this time around can be an Auroron, so that we have Electro Resonance. Auroron is going to be on the Cinder City set, so that he has access to allowing more damage number for Yai Miko. This is a pretty comfy team for you to play around because again, it is a Furina Xianyun team core for you. And then yes, we have basically our newest character within the patch, Veressa, right? Veressa is a plunge character and she's going to be able to make use of Xianyun pretty decently well, running alongside with Ian-san, Xianyun, and Furina. This is very much an updated team, more toward a premium team if I would say, because technically if you didn't have a Xianyun before, you're going to be having to put both Veressa and the Xianyun within a single patch, while also hoping that you have decent constellation on Ian-san. But overall, it is a banner that's made for Veressa team building if you really wanted to do so, so that is overall pretty good. Now obviously Veressa Xianyun team is a slight step below her Overload team with Chevreuse, but obviously if you do have this team invested, especially if you already have a Furina constellations, then and overall it's still going to be doing absolutely perfectly fine, which makes it a really fun addition into Xianyun's specific team building. So overall, I think Xianyun has access to a couple of really decent team comp making at the current point. However, not many of those team comps are actually the best in slot for the character that we have just discussed, and it's more toward a nice additional teams that you can have whenever you are building Xianyun. But it does make it to be a pretty comfortable teams and really fun gameplay mechanic open up toward those DPS character team building, which is a really nice addition. But obviously, for those of you who are still considering whether or not Xianyun is a perfect character for you to put at this point in time, do note that again, this is more toward those of you who really likes plunging mechanic gameplay. If you've already tried out Xianyun, you don't feel like you're kind of enjoy plunging gameplay, then most likely it's going to be just better off saving your Primogems and pull for Xianyun, because Xianyun is just right around the corner at the current point. Xianyun is technically universal in most of the team comps that we're using in the current meta. She is going to be relevant for basically until the end of the game, and Xianyun is still going to be relevant for a long time, but she's just going to be the best character for a plunge team. So it's more toward a preference side of yours. And that's everything I have to say regarding Xianyun at this point in time. I hope that the video have been helpful to you. If you do have any questions, leave it down in the comment section and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. If you're new to the channel, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. That I wish you a super day, and I will catch you on my next video.